there, and welcome to Feedback for the week of May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. The most misunderstood holiday in America. I think people understand St. Patrick's Day more than they understand what Cinco de Mayo is.
Well, you drink on both, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure.
So you're taking us out for margaritas afterwards, right?
Yeah.
I know the difference between Corona and Guinness.
Why don't we drinking right
We
now?
have to look like responsible
Speak
adults.
for yourself.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I mean, this is tea.
I got long past that point.
All right, let's introduce our panel. Andrew Pfister.
Hey.
JP Shub. You should know him. He works on Next Play. He's also the lead guitarist for one of the best metal bands out there, Thunderdick. And that's with 2 Ks. So you don't have to bleep it when I say it out loud. Abby Happy. And Patrick Klepek. Yeah, news. It just keeps coming. This isn't like, what, a month ago when I was like, there's nothing to talk about.
And it all revolves around the same company.
It is a little bit strange that you realize if Activision went away, like
What would we
a
do?
third of our reporting would vanish along with it.
Yeah. I'd have so much more free time.
All right, so for anyone who's been hiding under a rock or a fat PS3, what have they missed?
The big news is that Bungie has finally announced who they're partnering with for their new IP. It is Activision, and not only are they partnering with them for new IP, it's over 10 years, and Activision doesn't own the IP. So this is a massive, massive deal given what's going on with Infinity Ward, albeit they are completely different deals. That's really the first thing that people sort of get ingrained in themselves is that Bungie didn't sell themselves. They own this IP.
So it's not a betrayal.
No, they went to the company that could give them the most money, and Activision is that company.
And the reason why they went to Activision, and they did acknowledge that they have talked to other companies, and why the Activision deal seemed to be the best, is that whatever they are planning to do, it's not Halo, kids, not Halo. Whatever they are planning to do sounds so ambitious, it requires a buttload of money.
Yeah, I mean, everything we've sort of heard on the outskirts leading up to, as they've been talking to different publishers, has been whatever Bungie is working on requires a lot of money. And when we talked to Bungie, they addressed that a little bit, was that saying that, I asked them, well, how many publishers could you have even talked to? And they were like, not many. So, I mean, you have to imagine, it's a very short list of hardware, platform holders like Microsoft, Sony, and then like large third parties, EA and Activision. Outside of that, I mean, I cannot think of too many others that would even. It's not even that they wouldn't be interested; they just couldn't bankroll it. Yeah. And Bungie is essentially asking you to get on board for something that they have a 10-year plan, and they were very specific, saying we know what happens in year 8, 9, and 10. Hopefully, but they had.
You know what?
Yeah.
So they're taking the Lost
Stalin,
approach.
and look how that turned out. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just pointing that out.
I'm sure that's what they were thinking of when they.
Yeah.
So, I guess the reaction from people out there, it wasn't too surprising. It was like, when I woke up in the morning and I was aware of what was going on, I said, oh, and I think that was like, it was probably the most shocking union I've ever seen between two companies.
Yeah, but after you read the details, it makes a lot more sense.
Then it starts to
And a lot of
settle in.
people were kind of misunderstanding what it was. Like, they're not being bought like Infinity Ward was owned by Activision. They're still completely independent.
Or how Bungie used to be when they got bought by Microsoft.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
it's just for one IP, right? Like this brand new IP. They could do other things for other people. It's multi-platform. No one's like getting screwed anywhere. So
yeah, I think the only thing that's shocking is that Bungie was just so associated with Microsoft for so long, and that people don't realize that now Microsoft owns the Halo rights, and that Bungie can do.
And that
other
Bungie
stuff
owns
now.
itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's kind of
in the wake of all the negative Activision stuff, it's just kind of this perfect storm of what
exactly. I mean, I think that was all of our reactions. Geomancy here is one of the good people that seems to put it together. He's saying that the Activision connection hopefully will fade into irrelevance, except for those of us who like to talk shop. What seems more noteworthy from a gamer standpoint is that Jason Jones and Bungie are planning a 10-year universe on multiple platforms. I'm pretty damn excited about that. Can't wait to see what they cook up. Now, platforms. In your interview, was it with Jason Jones? It was
Brian Gerard,
That's
who's
right,
their
Brian Gerard.
director of franchise development and community outreach, he
platforms is a little more nebulous than just Xbox 360 and PS3.
Two things they wanted to make clear was that universe was something that's been repeated over and over by everyone involved with Bungie. So this isn't just it may kick off with one game, say 2 years from now, but this is a much broader plan than just one game. And the platforms thing, they were like, that wouldn't it make sense if we did PS3, but don't think that's like that. You're limiting yourself. And they also, and if you look at all the interviews, including the one that I did, they're like, look at all the mobile technology that's going on. Like when they think of universe, I don't think that just means we've crafted like a place for different stories to take part in. I think this is a place where you're going to be able to engage in this universe from all sorts of different angles. And I think because like when you and I were talking about it, I think MMO is too limiting of where this might be going. But the idea of sort of a persistent universe is, I think, more along the lines where they might be going with
We're
this.
already kind of seeing the seeds of it in the Reach player investment system,
That's
too.
true. That's true.
Sure.
And of course, what's that other company that's in Activision's name that we never say?
Blizzard.
They have a subscription model that they make a dime or two. And like Activision, I think it just probably takes a little bit just right off that top right there.
That's all they need.
And that's all they need to buy Bungie. So yeah, it all seems to work out pretty well. Now, the one thing which is interesting is the extent to which having that, at least being that close to Blizzard, how they might be able to use some of at least the intellectual resources inside of that company to help them with what's so ambitious. Because, hey, World of Warcraft, when they were starting out with that, sounded more ambitious than I didn't think it was going to work.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like I wouldn't expect that Bungie's going to be partnering with Blizzard in any capacity, but having just like Bungie said, well, we don't know how to do multi-platform development, so it's going to be nice that we have Activision, who has a bunch of studios with tech already established. That'll help us. I think in the same capacity, Blizzard can help them if they want to do something persistent online. Bungie doesn't have a lot of experience doing that on their own, and they clearly want to do something much grander. Having a partner like Blizzard to kind of tell you how to do that on a technical level is probably really useful.
And people at
Yeah.
Bungie are friends with people at Blizzard. There's good blood there, so we'll see.
Yeah,
the fruits of that.
they're already hanging out together
Yeah.
in Seattle, so they might as well work together.
Our friend Heavy Metal Wolf here, he seems to be getting it too, and he's saying, like it or not, people, EA and Activision are the two giants of the industry, and we should get used to the reality that many fan-favorite studios may make the switch to having the giants publish their games in the future. Also because it looks like the giants can allow these companies to own their own IPs. I mean, that's, we were saying, this seems to be a trend, and I do not think it's
Activision
ending.
partners.
I mean, I don't think it's going to end here. I don't know who it might be next, but there are some other very, very seasoned studios out there like, well, hold on, that's a pretty good deal. And with all due respect to the company, I don't think a company like THQ could actually finance something like this.
Yeah, I mean, but the nice thing is this sets up a template for other studios. And this is really, what a lot of people go back to is they look at the Bungie deal, and this is what like Infinity Ward wanted. Like this is this exact deal is like they didn't want to leave Activision. This doesn't help them.
Well,
they have
at
to
some
start
point,
over.
they didn't want to leave Activision.
Well, but I mean, ideally, could they just copy and paste this deal? This is what they wanted. They wanted to be Bungie, and Activision didn't want to play ball. And now I think that goes
And now
back
they're playing ball with Bungie.
And now they're playing ball with Bungie, but because they don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Bungie's like, well, we'll go somewhere.
And that
potentially
Bobby
go somewhere
Kotick
else.
video from DICE gets a whole nother cycle.
Well, yeah, because that's the thing. These talks have been going on for 9 months.
Right?
These talks have been going on for 9 months, and that's with multiple publishers. But now, every couple of weeks, that freaking speech from DICE
I
means
know.
something
I know.
completely
That-
different.
You know what?
Totally.
We should get a numerologist in here and get their take on that speech as well, because maybe there's more hidden messages.
He shows up almost late and totally disheveled, like in a sweatshirt. Is that the most important speech in the video game industry in the last 5 years?
It's like
Yeah.
Lost.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's it. He's a smoke monster.
Yes.
And
You just what?
I've been paying attention to your little water cooler chatter about that show I don't watch.
I don't know what you're doing right now.
Go back in your hatch.
For the rest of feedback, Adam is just going to read the leaked pages and spoil the entire series for you.
Out of curiosity, though, isn't it a gamble to put all their backing on Bungie like this? I mean, isn't there some risk involved for Activision? Do you guys think?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, think about like in the old days when United Artists started and it was being funded by, I know it was Charlie Chaplin. I always want to say Mary Pickford. I mean, all these people who built Hollywood. And the statement from Louis Mayer was, we've now let the inmates run the asylum. And it had a few years where it was working, but yeah, it didn't have that kind of financial discipline, all those things that sometimes are actually essential in all types of creativity, or at least commercial creativity, where the guy holding the money bags is useful because they keep things a little bit reined in, so your imagination doesn't run out too
Well, I think
far.
that's ultimately why they had to sign. I mean, Bungie does, unlike someone like Valve or Epic, doesn't have a financial back end that is bringing in an alternate revenue stream. So, someone like Epic can fund their own game for 2-3 years, then go and sell it. Bungie kind of has to come up with the concept, prototype it, and then go take it to someone to fund it. Like, Bungie's not funding this game for themselves. Activision is paying for it. They're just paying for it over, a course of 10 years and multiple products. So, yeah, it's a gamble, but I mean, they didn't buy the company. They don't own. Like there are ways for them to get out of this, and it
Yeah.
kind of falls to Bungie. I'm sure those clauses are built in to some extent.
Activision still can't get out of our news. They announced a game that we all kind of knew existed, but I think it surprised us as to what the game actually is, and that's the new
Yeah,
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty Black Ops, which kind of looks badass.
I
Yeah,
think
it
it looks
does.
pretty cool.
It does.
We're having very conflicted feelings. I know. So Black Ops is the new one from Treyarch. It's coming sometime November 9th, I think is the date.
Yes.
Yes.
And yeah, it's Vietnam era, as sort of was rumored, but that it's taking place in multiple different environments. There's
Right.
astronauts and weird stuff
Kind of
going
like
on.
the Bay of Pigs, Cuba.
Yeah,
like,
it's Cuba,
yeah.
Arctic, and Vietnam seem to be the rumored main settings. We see allusions to that in the video, but yeah, after I saw it, I was like, oh, that game looks
I know.
pretty good.
It
does.
And you know what? The fact that it feels like it's going to be more episodic, I don't think we know yet if it's like one main character, if there is a clear thread running through them. But I think, especially for like historical-based shooters, it's better to do it that way because, as with World War II, it's like they can always be fun for the first 3 levels, and then that sense of kind of fatigue starts to set in.
I'm
I
still
think
in a
this
rebel
allows-
village. I'm still in the jungle.
Yeah, this.
What
That was a
What was
strange
that?
noise.
Really
What was
loud
that?
noise.
Did we
just
did we
now.
was
summon a
odd
smoke
dramatic.
monster?
We're
That was
gonna
odd
say
dramatic
on the
timing.
air, people, even if it's a massive bear with a clown in its teeth.
No.
Okay, nobody outside the studio seems to be panicking, so I'm just going to go with we're all safe and we can continue.
Did I hit a button?
All right. Back to it, everybody.
Well, I never played World of War, but I know Andrew, you said that you liked that game.
I liked it more than I thought I would. There was a part at the end where you're ascending the steps and like there's an all-on
Oh
assault.
my god, I got
That
pinned
was
down there
brutal.
for like an hour on
Yeah,
Twitter.
that's where I
Oh.
stopped. But up to that point, it had very good set pieces, very well
It
designed.
does.
Set
I mean,
pieces.
it is a good game. I actually probably spent more time playing the Nazi zombie mode.
Which was
that was
awesome.
a blast. That was really fun.
It was also unrelentingly violent
Yeah.
in many ways, but I'm so glad that this Black Ops isn't just a rumble in the jungle for the entire game. Like,
yeah, because
that-
everyone kind of thought it was going to be Vietnam.
Yeah.
That was alluded to in the papers
Right.
that got leaked from Activision.
Yeah.
So I think also all of us seem to be a little bit excited about this game. And, Treyarch has been underneath Infinity Ward's shadow for so long. And it's not like they aren't talented people there, that this really might be their coming out party.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, when they get called the B team, like that comes across as really condescending in the sort of shadow of Infinity Ward, but like their games have gotten remarkably improved as they've sort of been able to refine it over the years, and like maybe this is their coming out party, which I'm sure
grace.
Activision is crossing their fingers
and
for.
everyone knows how much tension there was between Treyarch and Infinity Ward. And with that kind of gone, that might allow them to keep their eye on the prize.
Yeah.
Just a
Well,
little bit more.
now they really have something to prove. Like
Yeah.
the
pressure of-
the game changes for this last 6 months of development. Given the pressure, you can just fall on the Call of Duty name, and they still could. But now the onus is on them to really own.
They're
this
trading
IP.
one pressure for another. They're getting rid of that Infinity Ward cloud, but also everyone's going to be looking at this next Call of Duty.
Especially
as-
their employer, because they
Yeah.
have to carry on the mantle of this franchise.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think the key for them is that they have to make a great single player game, or that they're going to have to come up with new multiplayer that's
don't
going to
think
I
try?
you
think they just
necess-
need to surprise people.
Yeah. I don't think you necessarily have to come up with new multiplayer. I mean,
You have to keep.
There's gonna
You
be a
have to
lot of-
sustain
you have to
the
keep it
multiplayer.
interesting, and what they did, and what Infinity Ward did with Modern Warfare 2 makes it so great and makes you want to keep coming back to it. Aside from the glitches, but I mean, kind of their investment in the player and earning all of the emblems and the tags and the leveling up and just like I just love on the screen when it just flashing numbers at me because I'm doing things and like. I would hope that they actually aren't barred from using any of that in a way because I thought it made the whole Call of Duty online experience that much better. I didn't like the multiplayer in World at War as much, but I also don't like old-timey weapons as much as I like taking an M16 to someone.
Olden-timey
So I love saying old-timey.
So
weapon.
Abby, do you
I
think
prefer
they'll
FAMAS. I don't know.
do you think they'll beta test this multiplayer?
Oh, geez, God, I hope so.
I pray they do.
I
Did they do that for World
Yes.
of, did they
Lord.
do it for World at War? No, right?
No,
No.
because if they did, I don't think the dogs would
To
have been
who
so
makes
powerful.
those decisions? Make that decision.
Yeah.
Beta
Always have a beta.
'Cause,
Always.
Am I wrong?
Not
World
just
at
a
War-
closed little internal beta, just one where 15-year-old kids can get in there and ruin me.
Ruin my weekend.
Yeah, pretty
'cause
much.
I still think the tanks and the dogs were overpowered in World at War, and that never really got tapered.
Yeah.
I didn't play enough of it, but I had heard this.
Well, whenever you
complaint.
throw vehicles into a multiplayer game, you have to make certain concessions in the maps, and just to make large enough areas that it makes sense, and it can get really tough. I think Battlefield does a great job of it. I actually use vehicles in that game. I love getting in a
Yes.
tank, and it can be done. It can be done well. I'm really excited to see what they do with it.
Well, let's read Kyle Puts. I think that's how you pronounce your name, Phonics people. Let's read his comment. I hope they handled the subject matter appropriately. The whole Cold War era, from Cuba to Vietnam, was not a great time. Disputed wars and failed invasions. I hope they convey the gravity of these situations. If so, I think it could be a great game. If not, it's just another bomb run in the jungle. Fact is, look, World War II was not a very good
Exactly.
time either, and I gotta
Yeah.
say, both Treyarch and Infinity Ward handled it with the utmost
Yeah,
respect.
I don't really think of war as a lighthearted, family friendly.
1812, it was a hoot. Cannons
He
and
might-
a symphony.
He might be referencing how just over the top Modern Warfare 2's
Yes.
campaign
Yeah.
was. I think that's what he's talking
and
about.
that's where sort of the disconnect with No Russian came was that you
Yeah.
had this very serious
Exactly.
attempt
Yes.
at portraying the situation contrasted to this very bombastic Jerry Bruckheimer sort of
Right.
production.
Is this action movie or is this back to the classic Call of Duties? I'm very interested to see that.
Can't really. The teaser treats it pretty seriously.
Yeah.
So, but it's hard to tell because you can see in there so many bombastic scenes that I get the impression it's kind of following the same path.
Yeah.
The question is, will they try
I-
to do something like No Russian?
I mean,
Right.
Vietnam, I have always felt that's a real rough one to try to make into a game that's fun. I mean, that is by far the biggest misstep
only-
on the battlefield. And-
It's not just that it's in Vietnam; it's that it's Black Ops, and with Black Ops, that implies a lot more shady stuff
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you can't really get away with. But it also means that it's not as much as bombastic, like Russia invading America. That's probably not going to happen unless it's like a
Well, and
strategy.
also it sounds like there's a good sense of focus.
Mm-hmm.
That's just kind of like, I can't find anyone in the jungle. It's like, I've seen that movie too
Yeah.
many times.
I think
Yeah.
Okay.
the interesting battle is going to be between Black Ops and Medal of Honor, because Medal of Honor is also kind of taking a similar approach
Yes.
with like the modern day tier 1 operators, and that's just more like badasses behind
I'm
the
excited
scenes.
for E3 because I want to look at all the games.
Yeah, and just back my whole
Shooting.
thing. It's like just moving the camera around really wildly. I get it. Fog of War. Move on. Okay, Oliver Stone talking to you. Okay, let's quickly discuss this. There's a black Wii. Ooh,
I got nothing.
anyone?
I got a
Anyone?
Wii at home.
I wanted one of those when it launched. I would have bought a black one at launch.
Well, they showed
You
all
bought a
these
white one when it
teases.
launched
Like,
anyway,
Yeah.
so.
A
you remember
lime
when
green.
when the
That
Wii
would've
was
been
launched,
sweet.
when the Wii was, or when it was the Revolution. There were all these pictures of
IKEA
like all
colors.
these different colored consoles. There was like pink and blue and yellow and black and white. And I was so excited. I'm like, I'm going to be able to choose the console.
Okay.
Of my
That was
choice.
Nintendo saying, "We'll get you 5 years,
No,
6
and
years.
then-
Just wait."
I didn't expect to have to wait this long for one, because I figured like, well, they've got a great rollout all next year. Every time the Wii runs out of stock, they'll be like, here's a new
Okay.
color.
We all have Wii's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone getting this in addition to the one you have?
Nope.
No.
No.
Okay.
I don't treat
so-
this like my handheld.
Since
so
I don't
need
know,
to-
yeah.
Yeah.
Since there's so little to discuss about this is an open call. If you own a Wii and you are buying a second Wii because it is black, or you don't own a Wii and you were holding out for the black version or the black-looking console, please let us know who you are and explain yourself, okay? Because I want to study you.
And when it comes out, Adam reads the NPD data and cries.
I
Cries
know,
like
I know,
a baby.
I know. I just can't win.
I think the most interesting aspect of the story is that Motion Plus is getting packed in with
Yes.
Esports Resort, and that's kind of hopefully maybe indicating something that they have some plans brewing for more
Yeah,
Motion Plus
well,
games, because I just kind
Their
of
rollout of Motion Plus was the total opposite
I remember
of how they expect. I expect like Wii Sports Resort, and then let's just forget about this. Like I
How
did
did
not
it
expect
sell?
but at the same time, like they didn't really push for it to be ubiquitous. Like this is their first push for it to be ubiquitous
I mean,
with the hardware.
almost
and
a year after it's come out.
Yeah.
The only time I use it is with the Tiger Woods game, which is still awesome. That
when
is
it-
the best
When it's
implementation.
used appropriately, it's used well. I mean, the only thing I have always thought was this supposed to, pacify a lot of the third-party developers who, by the time it finally was made available, have really started to reconsider the fidelity to making games.
I don't know. I've always just gotten the fact that Nintendo hasn't rolled out much support. I loved Wii Sports Resort, and I liked the Tiger Woods game a lot. I feel like a beta tester. Like I feel like I'm beta testing Wii 2. Like
Your Frankenstein controller with the Motion
Yeah.
Plus on it, and
Yeah,
then
I went
the
out
wrapper.
And
and-
you almost have to use the damn condom thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
The Wii Phylactic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't like holding that in my hand.
No.
It's weird
Just
playing
like-
a
I'm like,
controller with
ah.
a dongle on it too. Like
Look, he said dongle. It's like dong, which is what I think of when I'm holding with the condom thing.
That sounds like a conversation for your therapist. That's
Oh man,
Conversation we had pre-show.
I walk in the room and he's like, "Oh God."
I don't know. What we're
Adam's
talking
Adam's
about.
therapist lives outside of his office.
Yeah. I'm saying,
Call him
okay,
in for
I need you now. I
emergencies.
need you now. I need you.
What, Zach?
So let's move on. Kids, it's Deadly Premonition. We'll probably be referencing this game for the next 5-6 months. So go find it, play it. You'll laugh harder when you watch the show. Okay, let's talk about something Abby and I did. 'Cause it was fun.
Yay!
Went to Vegas.
Way to go, guys.
That's it. That's where the story ends. So Adam and I went to Vegas, and that's it. So we got reader questions.
We got to see games from Bethesda. Unfortunately, we were supposed to see Brink as one of the games due to the volcano that kept people
Stupid
from going
nature.
anywhere.
Splash Damage was
Splash
not
Damage.
able to make it.
Yes, from England. But we did see some cool games. We saw Fallout New Vegas, Hunted, and now probably the game I am most excited about, which is Rage.
Yeah.
Which I did not expect to have this reaction to.
So I'm
but-
going to do this one too, Rage maybe first, because that's the one that I think people are pretty like, it makes really
Yeah.
technically interesting games,
Yes.
but do they make good games
Yeah,
anymore?
but that's the thing is like they have an impressive story and they have or like an impressive world and then also impressive technology.
Yeah, it was
It's-
like finally the game design might be at pace with the technology, which is
Yeah.
just eye bleeding. It's a post-apocalyptic world.
It looks, I mean, very like off the bat, it kind of looks across between Borderlands and with a bit of Fallout. It's post-apocalyptic wasteland. There's an asteroid that's basically devastated the Earth, and they stored everybody away in arcs. That the best and brightest kind of people.
Vault.
Yeah, well, I know. Well, see, that's the thing. Okay, it's going to sound very much like I'm describing
Exactly.
Fallout for a
Or
second.
the sequel to Deep Impact, starring Taylor Leone.
And I guess your arc is damaged, and you get out and realize that like a lot of people actually survived, and there's these towns that are built up in this whole area that you can explore. And what I learned when I was writing about the piece, which I put in there, was that if I Google searched the asteroid, I don't know why it was just, and it's an actual one that scientists fear might hit the Earth later this.
Oh, great! Now I'm worried if I have to. Zach.
Yeah.
Zach.
It's like 2029, but then it might come back in like 2036 if it
That
misses
sounds
the
very
first time. and, like,
Carmackian that
Yeah.
this is
Yeah,
actually
it was
real.
super,
Carmackian.
like-
I like that.
that's the ultimate real life achievement.
yeah.
Yeah.
Survived.
Boom, you destroyed civilization.
So anyway, and there's vehicles that kind of take you through like the larger, and there's races, and there's all these open world elements in it. But then it very much
it's a
has
shooter.
kind of shooter dungeons.
So
and
what's
missions
what's
that
the
you
mix
go
of
on.
shooting to driving and exploring?
They really were downplaying the driving, saying it
Yeah.
is, in most part, it is a means to get places and kind of explore the environment, though there is some vehicular combat. They really are saying this is a shooter, and they showed the shooting part is actually closer in line with BioShock than I was expecting.
Yeah.
Is there's a whole second skill set you have where you collect objects so you can build turrets, build robots that explode remotely. I mean, you can be very creative with
Yeah, there's
how
an
you utilize the
engineering. You
environment.
can create kind of ranged weapons. You can create a lot of different stuff in the
So
game.
you're actually putting the weapons together? Like, do you have like a toolbar?
I know, no,
or-
there's no.
Okay.
It happens immediately. They Tim Willits, I believe it was,
Yeah.
was saying that no, this is an id shooter. You are going to be focused on the action. There's not
Okay.
stopping down, going to a hub, building something. It's not an RPG. But they wanted to give the combat more dynamism than I think we expect.
Yeah.
And that's probably because the enemies are awesome.
They're
Do
really
they-
awesome.
Do they emerge from monster closets? Because that was the
Nope.
big thing about Doom.
Nope. This is trust me. They clearly played Doom 3.
Okay.
And they learned from Doom
What
3.
id played Doom 3?
Can you shoot and hold a flashlight at the same time?
No.
We didn't see anything
Has to be
dark.
patched. That's
That
going to
would
be DLC, actually.
Now, what we saw two different levels that had two very different types of enemies, which gives me hope that you'll see a lot of different enemy types. But the first one we saw,
It was amazing.
they were like
These
little
enemies were
monkeys.
just kind of flipping through, like acrobatically through the environment, and like there was a point, that I described where the player, turns the hallway, and one of them comes flipping down it, and then just jumps off the wall, kind of like roundhouse kicks him in the face, and like keeps. It was just amazing. Like they were showing us the engineering items, and the enemies were kind of taking them out so fast just by like kicking them over and getting them out of the way that like it didn't actually. They wanted us to see how they worked. And
the
I mean, I know how a
AI
turret works. But
can read the environment, and it was not just using
Really
the ground;
And they
it was
well.
using the ceiling. Here's what it's Carmack, and this is Carmack's genius mind at tech. So usually when you see very dynamic AI, then what suffers is the animations because they just can't have that many progressive
Yeah.
animations that can anticipate
Yep.
what's coming. This is the best animation I've ever seen in a video game. I mean, it was completely seamless, and they were saying it was 60
They were saying
frames a second.
they had mocapped everything and then blended like they had. You have to see it. I wish we had the
Unbelievable. I mean, yeah, I was kind of frustrated that we.
I wish we had feed of the
Yeah, I
demo that we
know.
saw.
Abby's write up kind of has to go. No, trust me, really.
It's really cool. I swear.
I empathize with our viewers right now. We're like, show us the video. Show us what you're talking about.
I mean, and that mixed with just the detail in the environments that apparently they went and did a Bethesda and kind of hand placed everything.
There's like really nice signage and really, I mean, it feels like a world that people live in, and it's incredibly detailed.
But it's not. But is it actually open world? I mean, is it like Fallout where you're going like from open world and then going to linear sections?
You have your
that
missions
Yes,
that
yes.
lead you.
Yes.
I would say, and that they weren't terribly explicit on this, but it's not clear if I have missions, I can do them in different orders. I mean, they
Okay.
still have their classic type of
Yeah.
game, but they
So
might be more-
there are
might be more
side
of a-
missions and things that take you out into
Yeah.
other parts of the world as well.
But they clearly have an open world because they really want to get that sense of place, and they have this amazing engine finally that allows them to really create a sense of place rather than
Yeah.
a dark place.
I'm amazed it took me this long to see the game. I had friends at EA that when it was back with them that were telling me like, you have to check out Rage. It's so cool, dude. And like,
They're
not even
taking
trying to
their-
necessarily sell me on it. And then finally, because I think they previewed it at QuakeCon last year,
Yeah.
to make sense. And then I haven't gotten a
But
chance
they've
to see
been
it.
pretty much showing it more as the tech demo for Quake Engine.
id Tech 5.
id Tech 5, yeah.
Thank you. This was the first
This
real
was
proper
a real
game
demo.
demo of it.
I mean, they've been taking their sweet time with this game. I mean, we're going on
shows.
4 years by the time it
Yes,
ships next year.
I was
like
talking to
5.
one individual at the event. I'm like, "How long have you been at it?" He goes, 10 years. I've made one game since then.
Yeah.
Or shipped one game. Let me put it that way. So I was like, "Yeah, you gotta love that company."
Well, and that's cool. Potentially about them partnering, with Bethesda or ZeniMax now is that will hopefully, like with Bethesda, change going forward. Is that they will be able to kind of go on an alt schedule
And
with.
this is a franchise. I mean, they
just
said
going in
right,
complete
this is
circles today.
This is made to be in a franchise.
Yeah.
Just a little we saw, you're like, yeah, I can see how the DLC might work with this.
Yeah, I mean, they were already
clearly-
like dropping Rage 2 and talking about DLC and saying that they've really built this really fleshed out universe where, half of what they've built for this universe you're not even going to see in the game.
It
It's
sounds
something
like a very
that's in their heads
PC
before and
developer
after.
mentality to
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
so openly about
Yeah.
that stuff. Like PC developers would tend to say like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, we're gonna drop all that stuff
Yeah.
later. Like that doesn't. It's very calculated with console
Yeah.
sort of
It's like,
PR
"Ooh,
strategy.
We're gonna withhold a secret so you can get all titillated.
Yeah.
No.
No, Carmack's just like whatever.
Yeah.
Are
The other big game, I want to make sure we get to it.
Yep.
Fallout, New Vegas.
Yeah.
This makes JP very happy.
Yes.
Yes.
JP, you
I think
may
it makes
ask
all
us
of
a
us very
question.
happy.
Oh no! Just tell us everything.
Just tell me
actually
everything.
falling apart right now.
Oh, I'm a Fallout fanboy, to say the least. I put like 100 hours into the first one and the multiple download content.
You're in good
and,
company.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know Abby put a lot of time
87
into
hours.
it.
and
Oh, yeah.
counting.
And I was so jealous that you guys got to see this. So I'm gonna sit like the little kid at the fire. I want to hear all the news there.
All right. Well, it's Fallout in
Yeah.
Vegas. No, I. It doesn't. It takes it's like 3 years after the events in Washington, and it doesn't. The story doesn't seem to really have a connection to that. You kind of wake up in the middle of the desert and you've been shot, and you get taken to a town to get patched up, and then it's like a really quick kind of that same process of getting all of your special skills and everything, and then it kind of throws you right into the wasteland.
And when we watched it,
And-
it took about 10 minutes. This
Yeah,
is not
it was
how
like-
Fallout 3
Right.
handles
Yeah.
So it doesn't have Liam Neeson's soothing voice guiding you through
that.
childhood.
No.
Sorry.
I imagine there will be some soothing voices in the game. So, but yeah.
But they've added a lot of really cool things. There's the ability to modify weapons, which I think is awesome.
Sorry. That made me excited.
Just keep going.
You've never seen MASH? Okay, whatever. Moving on.
Are you looking at? No.
The
Back
hard,
in your hatch.
I think the hardcore mode is really cool, and I'm still on the fence of whether I'm going to play that way or
Is
not.
that the one where you have to manage your bullets?
Ammo
because
carries weight.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like, ooh, I wanted everything to be hardcore except for that one thing.
Yeah.
I
That
like.
doesn't
I
excite
like
me.
the concept
I mean,
of
you have to
hardcore
eat.
mode, but
you have to eat. You
meh.
have to drink. You have to go to a doctor when you're injured. Stim packs, won't fix your broken bones, and everything except for the ammo. Because I'm thinking back over my inventory, and I'm like, well, that's just not going to work.
And I know that there were a lot of complaints about how Fallout 3 got too easy, But that also wasn't a game where the fun of it was necessarily the challenge.
No.
That's what I found. Is
Well-
that I like being a badass at the end of that game.
You can target body parts with melee weapons.
Nice.
The problem with Fallout 3 and it became so easy was that because like I enjoyed the world for 80 plus hours, around like hour 20 is when I stopped caring about the combat in
Yeah.
any capacity.
Yes. Yeah.
So at that point, you would enter an area, take everyone out with headshots because there was no reason to do anything but headshots, and just then explore and read the the different computers you came across. But I'm does it seem like it doesn't seem like fundamentally that things are changing too much?
Well, it feels like
New
they.
Vegas?
I mean, obviously they're not really doing too much engine work with this one. It's kind of built for
Yeah.
them, so it seems like they've really done a lot with story and the kind of adventures that you go on, and they bring back a lot of things that fans of Fallout and Fallout 2 will really enjoy. They brought back some of the enemy types
and the New California,
Republic. Like,
I mean, the stories are linked more in with those two games of Fallout 3.
What,
Yeah.
what can you tell me to dissuade my fears that I do not trust Obsidian Entertainment?
The game.
saw
I
the
want
game
to.
and it looked
It's a
good.
developer. It's a developer I
I mean,
want
from
to
everything
love.
we saw, it plays like Fallout 3. It looks like Fallout 3. I mean, there would have to be something in the story. I mean, the other thing I love is
Which
there's
that I trust them with.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
So,
And they have twice as many weapons.
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, because once again, they didn't have to do the R&D on this game. They just kind of have this wonderful piece of tech, and they're just moving forward with it. So
Yeah.
You know, with regards to you saying the first one got easy, though, Broken Steel Pack, definitely those enemies
Yeah.
were not jokes.
Yeah.
You know, the
No.
White Scorpion and stuff. That
You know
game
what?
took a serious turn for the.
we didn't ask him, and maybe that's it. Is that Todd Howard just couldn't believe that people would play Fallout 3 for as long as they did, and never thought they would level up. That they needed to build more enemies for someone who had just reached this ridiculous point of.
That's what the Borderlands guys said too.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we just didn't think people would like the game that much. So.
Dear game developers, do not underestimate us.
Well, here's what I'm wondering. Do you think that they're going to start this new one off with some of the heavy duty enemies? That are they going to put them in the game, or are they going to leave that for later, depending on
Well,
player
the one
interest?
thing they didn't show us
We saw
was
some
the Vegas
interesting
Strip.
enemies.
Yeah, we saw good enemies. They didn't show us the Vegas Strip, which functions like DC. That is
The hub, sort of.
that's where a lot of the interesting things are, and you really aren't supposed to access it until you can defend yourself. So I think a lot of those questions are answered inside of the Vegas Strip.
Yeah, and the Nightkin that we saw that can kind of
Yeah.
go invisible and everything like
Yeah,
that.
there was like some invisible enemies. There was actually some tough looking
Yeah, there
enemies.
was-
And there's new classes of super mutants. Yeah, I think your work's gonna be cut out for you.
How
with this
far
one.
into the game did you guys get to see?
Well, they showed various areas.
Yeah,
There's
we kind of
ways-
skipped around. We saw Novak, we saw Prim, we saw Good Springs, and I love it because they're all real places. We saw like a nuclear or solar facility, the Helios
Yes.
power plant.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of the smaller towns outside, but they said that the scope of the game is basically the same scope as Fallout 3. Like, it's that much area. So if you factor in that it's that much area, we basically saw nothing.
Yeah, I mean that's
so
always a
exciting.
challenge with a demo for a game like Fallout is that you can see things to get you excited, but you just don't. Yeah, it's that scope.
That's why I was reading some of the comments to the media that's come out for this game, and just they're like, oh, the game doesn't look that much better than Fallout did 2 years ago. I was like, yeah, I don't.
But I'm just looking for it to expand that great
Yeah.
experience that I had. Give it
Do
a
we
new
care
location,
about graphics
sure.
in a game like that? Like, to me, it's all about the
yeah,
experience.
yeah.
Like,
And it's like I'll take the gameplay over the graphics in a
Easy.
game like that.
Also,
any day of the
also
week.
the Fallout 4 is I don't know, like 3 or 4 years off. Like I want this game now. So
Yeah.
Also, I refuse to look back at games that came out a year or two ago when I remember saying, "God, that game has awesome graphics," and then saying now, "Oh, they're terrible." Because
Actually,
frankly,
there's-
they're still pretty damn good.
There's some kid that's been tweeting me who's just really has suddenly hated the airplane animations in Modern Warfare.
yeah.
He's been tweeting you about that?
Yeah, I got really angry last night.
Well, you should do
Why did you
something
make the
about
animation
that.
so
Yeah.
bad?
I have no idea. I'm gonna the words will be shared. I will share words. All right, JP. The reason we have brought you on is not just because you're charming and an awesome musician. Thunder
Thank
Dick
you.
is the band.
That's right. Coming to Rock
It's,
Band Network
um,
soon, hopefully.
You got to see the Halo Reach beta before everyone's been able to play
Yes.
it now. We wanted you to kind of give your 10 cents. Are you a fan of Halo multiplayer?
Yes.
Okay, you
Yes.
are. So
unabashedly so.
How are you responding to Halo Reach's multiplayer?
Well, I'm gonna be bummed when they turn it off because I cannot go back to Halo 3 now.
Really?
I really, really like everything they've added to this Halo. Everything from the new bumper jumper controls, with the melee move. And to the armor abilities, to the look of it, to the balance, to the feel. Like I'm really like, and even at this early beta phase, there's some bugs here and there. Obviously, with all the people who couldn't get on yesterday and stuff, but I really like the way it plays, and the objective modes are really fun.
Yeah, I've been playing a bunch too. I love the shield.
Yes,
and I'm not.
Oh, armor lock.
I'm
Especially
not.
because
Yeah, armor lock.
you do like an Iron Man thing, like.
Well,
Yeah.
now that people are figuring out how to use it too, it's awesome.
Tell me how to use
Yeah.
it.
Okay, so
That's the one I don't use.
okay, so I am I've totally become like shield expert in our group, like because I have a bunch of people that I play with, and I'm always the one who's hunkered down.
Never use it one-on-one, right?
Well, it depends. You can, because if you're in a tight area and you use it, and
It
you
EMPs.
Yeah.
it'll knock down the other guy's shield, and you got to bolt and get him. with
Every
your
time I
melee.
see someone in
And if
armor
they touch
lock
it directly, it looks like they.
by themselves, I
die.
just time my grenade for
Same.
when it explodes, so they'll EMP or they'll just shut it off, and then the grenade will be at their feet.
The best
and be
is
like,
being in a shield and then like watching like two dudes wait around you, and like meanwhile I'm
Oh,
like
crap, oh,
talking
crap,
in my
oh, crap, oh,
microphone.
crap.
I'm like, guys, over here, guys, I'm over here. Come to where
Hurry,
I am.
hurry,
There's two
hurry,
guys. They're
hurry,
waiting. They're
hurry.
waiting. I don't have much time. Oh.
The
Like-
thing it'll save you is if you're up against a guy with a rocket launcher or somebody throws a grenade at
Grenade.
you and you weren't
Yeah.
expecting it, you can go into it and
I've been
and
killed
save
by a lot
yourself.
of grenades, and I think that might
Yeah,
help me.
I have two.
I've been using stealth a lot for the stalker build.
Yeah,
and
I've
that's
noticed a lot of people having great success.
that's
with that.
helped me get over my intense hatred of Halo multiplayer because I can hide. I can run away. Like I won't get headshot every 10 seconds. So that's really cool. And I think the big change for me is the armor abilities and like the classes you
Yeah.
have now. That's why I couldn't go back to Halo 3
Well,
because
and
it gives me
Yeah.
variety. Like
variety and like the
it gives me tools.
Yeah, in Halo 3, because you had to go and like collect them, like it just you didn't feel encouraged to experiment with
It
them.
became
was just
another
like,
thing
eh.
you had to compete over with really awesome dudes.
So
like,
I just
I don't have
just
this.
didn't even bother going after them
Yeah.
nor using them, and that's what they've said was the big problem with Halo 3 is they saw a large amount of players just not use the equipment because it was an extra thing you had to do,
I mean,
and
and
now
you-
when it's just
yeah.
one thing that you can play with, you start experimenting with
And
it.
you still are going after the health and the weapons in the
Yes.
game.
Yes.
So, that's still there. But I actually, for whatever reason, this one almost feels a little more like Halo 1 a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
definitely.
the
so.
pistol helps.
Yeah, I've been getting
love
kind
the
of that vibe,
pistol.
although it takes like an extra shot. Then
It's not like the Halo. Well, the Halo
Well,
1
it's
pistol
three,
is
it
like
was
a
3
death
shots for the
machine,
first
so-
one,
But
and
it
the
was
new
so
one's 5
cool.
shots.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I loved that. That was my favorite part of the Halo.
Honestly, I'm not the biggest Halo player either. And I already like this so much more than I liked 3. And part of it has to do with just adding in those new abilities. Almost kind of re-levels the playing field.
Yes,
like I
definitely.
don't feel like I'm getting constantly destroyed by kids who play the game every night. Like I felt like I kind of stand a chance, and especially playing with my friends, we run in a little pack, and and that's the only way to not die. Because as soon as I'm off on my
That-
own,
Yeah.
it's like,
Actually,
show
that's
me.
a great point that I'd like to talk about with Halo. The difference between Halo and especially this one versus like Call of Duty is the fact that you can't lone wolf it when you're playing team modes. It's designed to punish you for doing
Yeah.
that. Like, one guy against 2 Spartans, you're dead. Whereas in Call of Duty, one guy can take out 4 guys by himself. And in this one, you have to play as a team.
With the
in
right
all
noob
modes.
tube.
Yes, exactly. So that's what I fundamentally love about the Halo games is they are team games.
Now, so do you see this? I'm just assuming that the major revamp to the multiplayer, obviously a response to what's been happening in multiplayer other places, but we're going to see most likely more Halo games, just not from Bungie, and that sort of as part of their swan song, hey, create a good foundation that we can build more games on going forward so we don't have to kind of, with a new team taking on Halo, also retool the multiplayer. I mean, do you see this as the kind of thing that has legs going forward to other games?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this has the new tech. They've redone the engine, so it looks different. It looks like something they can get more juice out of as they
It's
go.
a lot prettier. I
Yes.
guess.
Yeah.
That's like.
Well, it's
I
got
mean,
like motion blurs in it now, and even in the sound design, like now you have the shell shock ring with a grenade that you didn't get before, and the guns all sound. And I noticed I don't know if you guys have noticed this, so the recoil on the guns feels a lot more updated to me. Like,
Yeah,
more in
actually
line
it
with
does.
Call of Duty.
Sure.
Like a guy can't just line up on you with a pistol because of the giant recoil on it.
They lined up on me.
Now, were you guys able to play last night? Because yesterday there were a lot
Yeah.
of problems for people
Yeah,
out there
I
training
played.
it all.
I
was
played
most-
for a
it was
good
mostly
6
during
hours
the-
last night.
It was mostly during the day
Okay, that's
when
good.
people were downloading the beta. And like the thing that I liked, what I always liked about Halo multiplayer is that it's slower paced than a lot of like a Call of Duty specifically is very fast. Like it doesn't feel as like I know the headshots like
See,
are
I
really
actually
effing
disagree
annoying.
with that.
Really? 'Cause I always feel like Halo's a little bit
much
slower.
faster paced, and that's why I like it because the maps. It's as Abby always says, they're designed as arenas and not as maps. So there's less places to hide out in. It encourages you to keep moving. Like Powerhouse, one of the maps in the beta is circular flow. So
Yeah.
and you're always charging between, and especially with the new sprint and the rocket pack, I feel like they've really upped the pace of the game.
I would say if you compare, because it actually does it. Bungie always does a really fantastic job of kind of stat tracking. So if you go in and compare the amount of your average lifetime, like I find that mine are significantly lower in Halo.
It might be because of the
Yeah,
shield dynamic that I feel like I have.
You feel like you could survive
Yeah,
longer.
like
That is
I
true.
can get
Yeah.
hit and like, I've got a chance to get away. My shield. So like, even though it might just be faking me out, I feel like I have more of a chance in a Halo game
Yeah.
because you're dealing with the shield dynamic and then the health dynamic.
Like if someone gets the drop on you, it doesn't mean you're instantly done.
exactly,
You have
exactly.
a chance.
I have a chance in a one-on-one battle, even if someone got the jump on me. That I can shoot on and get a headshot, and like that's pretty much what what I'm alluding to.
Yeah, I also think it's worth mentioning the kind of incentives for keeping playing, being able to upgrade stuff in the armory, and the challenges that I guess they're going to be doing. Is it weekly?
It's
or?
well, that's the arena mode, which we
Yeah.
haven't seen in the beta yet, and I didn't see in my test up at Bungie either. That still hasn't debuted yet.
I think
I will
that's so
say-
exciting because that's kind of what Left 4 Dead is doing right now with the
Yes.
mutations every week.
Yes.
And that has gotten me playing every week to just try out the new one and see what's going on. It's been a really great reason for me to keep coming back and playing the game.
It's a good
that
reason
I
not
love.
to trade the game back in.
Yeah,
It's
it
a
really-
very
it really
clever
is.
way of doing that.
And
But, yeah.
it's a very stupid gamey thing, but even just finishing a match and watching a meter go up, oh, I accomplished something.
Yeah, even if I lost.
After you've lost, just to see like your thing go up, even though it only
They-
goes towards you getting
Feedback.
new
It's
armor.
all,
Yeah.
it's all that feedback.
And that's what
that you
Battlefield
get.
does as well. And I like
They
watching
need to do
go.
it better. They need to explain better
Yeah.
what you've earned your credits for.
Well,
because
and
it's
let's
very
be fair. This is a beta,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
do not
It's stuff they need
expect
to
as
improve.
is now is how it will be. And, will it be big changes? Probably not. Small
Yeah.
changes? Yeah, I think that's a very
We
good change.
still haven't even seen some of the stuff because
haven't
there's
seen
still
two
two
maps
maps
yet.
and the invasion modes and the headhunter
Vehicles.
mode vehicles. Yeah, headhunter mode actually was my favorite thing that I played up at Bungie, and I can't wait for it. It's basically a Slayer where you every time you die, a flaming skull pops out of your head. And you collect them and you drop them in the stockpile. But
Oh, no, I played that
That's
one.
a-
I
that's
played
all.
that one last night.
Yeah, I
Oh,
got
is it
that
out there
mode
now?
a couple
It's
days
just-
ago.
That one is so much fun.
It is.
Yeah.
But during my
I've only gotten
during the
it
voting,
a couple times.
I've only
I've
gotten a
never
couple
gotten
times
it,
too.
yeah.
I got it once on the first day, and then I haven't seen it like
Yeah,
the rest of the
I
weekend.
had the
don't
same
know what
thing. I got
happened.
it the first day I played,
But
and I don't
I
think I've
Okay,
seen
so
it
everyone
since.
out there, go vote for this mode. What's it
yeah,
called again?
Headhunter,
Headhunter.
and it's
Headhunter.
awesome.
Vote for it, kids.
Stockpile, also awesome.
But
Says
as-
Adam.
I-
It's good for you.
I remember when you and I spoke with Bungie about that player investment system and the armory and everything, and having bought some very expensive shoulder pads for my character, I'm still.
Originally you weren't like totally sold on
I'm
the idea.
still not sold on
Yeah.
it. Because first of all, it's like when you're playing, your characters are red and blue, so it's not like I'm
Yeah.
running by in my fabulous pink and purple uniform with my unicorn logo. That's my little emblem. It's pink and purple as
I'm a
well.
traffic
matches
cone.
my uniform. But because you're not actually when you don't actually see that when you're in the game. It's only kind
Right.
of when you're flipping through the menus. I just don't, and even then, a lot of the pieces just don't look that different. And maybe there's going to be far more expansive ones that I have unlocked yet. But that's the one thing I'm like, I don't even need that.
Yeah,
I like
that's
the idea
true.
of coming back each week, for the challenge, for the arena stuff, and just because I
That
like
might be
the
the
game.
that might be the reason you actually do come back, and that's
Yeah.
sort of just for the people that like to have that want to. I think the ability to change like your little outfit it will be interesting a couple of times, and eventually it'll be about how do I get that super exclusive item.
They're
that they-
tapping
that they
into the
roll
World of
out.
Warcraft PvP arena
and the,
stuff.
Yeah.
and the recon
Grind,
armor.
grind. Yeah.
I
And
love
the
it.
only
Adam,
other-
oh, I was just saying that maybe we could have you do Halo Project Runway on X-Play
Ooh, that's not a bad idea.
with Abby and
Oh,
Adam.
Yeah.
oh my god, we'd totally do
Okay,
Halo Project Runway.
Abby's
Okay,
getting way too excited.
That would be
about
my
this.
one opportunity to wear a pink shirt with a gray suit, which
See,
I think
there
is
you
an
go.
excellent combo because I would get to play Tim Gunn.
That would be so awesome. The only other thing too, actually, on the beta that I wish that they would change is the text color.
Yeah.
On the side where it tells you like the kills and everything, because I can't for the life of tell when I've killed someone sometimes. Like I don't know if I just can't read it that fast or the color or if
They
just
also need
made
to
our
give
name
you.
colors
They need to give
different
you more
than the
time selecting
text
your
in between
loadout.
and choosing your loadout. Like,
Well,
but again, it's
I'm
beta.
going to tell Bungie.
My other complaint too is in stockpile mode. It took me a long time before I figured out which circle my team was supposed to drop flags off in.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, actually, that was kind
Yeah.
it
of.
took me a while.
I ran
Now
to the
know,
wrong
but-
one
At least
first,
we don't,
and I
at
got
least we don't
killed.
feel like idiots.
But when they
Like,
switch the maps on me, like if I play a different map, I'm gonna be screwed all over again because I don't know which. A couple times I dropped flags off in the wrong teams, and I got guys yelling at me, and I was like, "Why are you yelling at me?"
Yeah,
Hey, you know what? At least you don't play for a Colombian national soccer team. because
True.
That would be a real
Yeah,
problem.
JP, I screwed up a couple times because the switch
1994
whether you're on the red
reference.
team or the blue
Yes.
team, and I would totally forget that we had now switched sides, and I would tell you like, "Hey, buddy, what's? Oh God, don't shoot me!"
The first thing I do in Halo at the beginning of the round is I say, kill the blues or kill the
Yeah.
reds, just so I get it mentally
That's
in
good.
there.
That's
like,
good.
kill the blues.
And I love some
That's
of
a
those.
good pro tip.
Wow. That's
I love
dark.
some of the
It
weapons
is.
too.
I threw my controller on Sunday.
Well, with
He
that,
did. I was
thank
listening
you.
when he did it.
Thank you so much, JP. Sounds like everyone's got a pretty good, like, you actually, things are looking good with Halo Reach. Hopefully, we'll be able to check in on it as we learn more up until it comes out. I want to get to our viewer question of the week from Warden626. He's talking about an article that was on Kotaku that says, discussing, about the end of gaming for one, for one individual. When do you stop playing games? And he says, with a personal professional responsibility increasing, it becomes harder to find the time and enthusiasm to enjoy games like we used to, and honestly, like we always thought we would. That said, my question is, have any of you considered what the end of gaming in your own lives might be like, and more importantly, what might spur such a detachment from our beloved pastime? Obviously, it's kind of different for us because our jobs are games, so that's not to say it won't happen. I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
Andrew?
the flip it answer will be I'm not going to stop playing games in the same way I'm not going to stop reading books or watching movies or watching TV. It's always going to be part of my media, repertoire. But it's going to be a matter of, judging my time better, judging my money better. Like, do I have time to play this? When is enough? Like, what am I trying to get out of this game? And what's the value to me in that?
Kids.
Me not being able to afford electricity would be the only thing I think that would effectively stop me from playing games. But
Gauntlet.
I can't think of a situation that was because even just on your phone you're playing Scrabble. I can't think of is he talking about getting rid of games altogether or just consoles and
I think
PCs?
Being
except
hardcore.
I've wondered, if I got arthritis or something like that, God,
Sure.
that kind of scares
Yeah.
me. But no, there are so many other types of games I think that will find something.
Yes,
That
I
they-
mean,
Yeah.
Eventually they'll have it where it's going in your brain and you're controlling.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Abby?
I always joke that it would probably be like if I ever had kids because
Yeah.
I wouldn't want them to know what a video game is, mostly because then I'd have to share.
Wow.
Like why does mommy go into the secret room where she screams profanities?
That's how she keeps you safe.
Yeah.
She's fighting with the demon that wants you.
Fighting
That's
off
how
the
you're gonna answer that.
terrorists.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of with you guys. I mean, but again, it's different because it's so tied into what we do professionally. Like, I wouldn't stop if I went on to do something else. But there probably will be a time where I have to not play as much as I do right now.
It's just going to be like tastes evolving and habits changing because
Yeah.
of life
Yeah, I
circumstances.
mean, just seeing other people. I mean, again, the professional thing sort of rules out like most of it. But yeah, kids, I ultimately see being like seeing how other people how they've had to drop. You have to become very selective in what you play, as opposed to like now where I can pretty much play 95% of the major games released each year. Like that doesn't happen once you have kids. Like that becomes I'm going to
becomes more
play
challenging.
30% of the major games this year. So I mean, other than that, I mean. I don't have any
I have
reason to stop.
so
doing
many
these things.
hilarious
I'm gonna-
scenarios of
I'm
having
gonna
a kid
chime
and
in.
playing video games. Like, I don't know,
You already have a little book.
playing like an M-rated game and holding your hands over the baby's eyes
yeah.
while
No, that's
feeding
when he
it.
has to set
Keep that as a book idea.
Ways Abby's going to be a bad parent so she can keep playing video games.
That was going to happen way before video games.
sounds like another
bad
X-Play
parents
segment.
been in the works for years.
So I was
I don't even
thinking
like
about
kids.
this question, what my answer is. Unfortunately, mine is probably what's going to make me stop playing games is the game industry itself. That
Oh God, they're going to break him.
stuff that we're doing right here. This is cool, and watching the creativity of dev teams out there. But stuff that we don't talk about too much because it's not appropriate to do so is the ridiculous amount of bullshit, hubris, and just inappropriate stuff that is just pervasive throughout the game industry. And you know what? It just starts to sometimes make popping a game into a console really, really challenging. And I'm tired of it. I don't think it's ever going to stop. But it's a wonderful industry that provides wonderful creativity, and it also is saddled with a lot of the same kind of petty insecurities and double dealings that you expect from movies and music.
Would that make you quit your job or find a different career path as opposed to just giving up games completely?
That's a good point. I don't know if I want to answer that because there might be people that want to speculate if I'm actually still playing the
Obsessor.
games at a certain point
Obsessor's
further down the
leaving.
line. But I've been doing it for 12 years. And I've taken quite a few on the chin, and it's just I just have to wonder every so often, how many more can I take?
Sometimes it's hard to separate the sort of when you make
Because it's my job.
When you
That's
make
the thing.
when you make your hobby your job, they intertwine in a way that eventually can sometimes produce some results that kind of taint the experience.
Is this
Yeah.
because we
You
keep
said
building
taint.
Final Fantasy stand-ups in your office?
Yes, that's exactly why, Abby. Finally. If I see one more Final Fantasy 13 standee that's blocking my access to my desk, well, I will trip yet again. That's what's going to happen.
I'm gonna make Adam play Nier.
Far. Near.
Is this like the Sesame Street thing?
Yes, it's Grover. He taught me the difference between the two. So, okay, with that, guys, thank you so much. Andrew Pfister, JP Shove, Abby Happy, Patrick Klepek, thank you for joining us today. We'll, of course, be back next week where we will chat about even more things.
I don't know.
because-
Start playing Alan Wake, kids, so
Yeah,
we can
something
get
like
another
that.
game in here.
Something like
ready.
that. And obviously, Activision, do something else because it gives us chatty.
It makes me paid.
All right, take care. Next week. Hello there. I'm Adam Sessler, host of X-Play, editor-in-chief at G4TV.com. I talk a lot about video games, and sometimes a camera is in front of me when I'm doing that. We call that Sessler's Soapbox. Takes about 2 minutes of your time, but trust me, you will hear invective and joy and probably a lot of rude things like you've never heard before in the context of video games. I do it for you, so you should check it out. It's up every Tuesday on G4TV.com.